And we're back. Today I want to focus on how most people are learning to improvise music the hard way. I did. I started playing guitar when I was 12 years old, and from the beginning I was taught the hard way. Even when I went to Berklee College of Music, their core curriculum emphasized the hard way. So what is the hard way? The hard way is not learning music like a language. More specifically, not learning music by immersion. Most teachers teach music in a very academic way. Learn to read rhythms, learn to read notes, learn some scales, learn some chords. There's little to no emphasis on building a vocabulary, understanding context, and improvising freely without fear or judgment. That's fine if you're a classical musician or someone who wants to only play pre-written music. But if you're a musician that wants to be able to improvise and make up your own music, then you have to be fluent in the language of music. And the fastest way to fluency is by immersion. Like language, music has its own vocabulary and grammar. Here are some parallels. The chromatic scale is like the alphabet. Musical phrases are like sentences. Rhythms are like the cadence of speech. Improvisation equates to fluency. The Grammy Award-winning bassist Victor Wooten is famous for describing music as a language.
Because if you think about your first language, for me and probably most of us here, it might be English, so I'm just going to go with English. If you think about how you learned it, you realize you weren't taught it. People just spoke to you. Now, if I take the music example, in most cases, our beginners are not allowed to play with the better people. You're stuck in the beginning class. You have to remain there a few years until you elevate until the intermediate and then advanced. And after you graduate the advanced class, you still have to go out and pay a lot of dues. But with language, to use a musical term, even as a baby, you're jamming with professionals.
Imagine if you were learning to play piano and you got to jam with Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea every day for years. You not only get amazing at piano, you'd become fluent in the language of jazz. So how do we apply this concept of language immersion to learning music? Let's look at the 5 I's. Immerse, interact, imitate, integrate, and improvise. The first 2 I's, immerse and interact. It's important to immerse yourself in music and interact with musicians on a daily basis. This can be in the form of listening to music, singing along to songs, or jamming with other musicians. It's important to note that surrounding yourself with more experienced musicians can accelerate the learning process. Here's an immersion exercise that you can do anytime you're listening to music. Pick out the different parts and try to sing those parts. So pick out the melody, the bass line, the drum part, the guitar solo. Being able to do this will improve your listening skills and also help you internalize new vocabulary. The third I, imitate. So this consists of recreating the sounds that you're hearing with your voice or using your instrument. One of the most important exercises to fluency in music is learning by ear. This can be tricky at first, but we'll keep it simple for now with 3 steps. Step number 1, listen to a note or a small phrase. Step number 2, try to sing that note or small phrase. Step number 3, try to find that note or phrase on your instrument. Do, do, do. If you're having a hard time hearing or singing notes, let me know in the comments below, and I can do a more in-depth video on the topic in the future. But for now, you can use ear training books or apps like Arpeggio or Tenuto to help you identify rhythms, intervals, and harmonies. These skills will make learning by ear easier. It's important to note that context is key. If you're learning a melody or solo, it's important to know why those melodies or solos are being played. This is where knowing chords and some music theory can come in handy. But warning, it's easy to get sucked into the trap of prioritizing music theory over learning vocabulary. This personally happened to me, and for years I learned as much as I could about jazz harmony. I learned scales, modes, progressions, rules. However, I didn't know how to apply these concepts because I didn't have the vocabulary to support it. For example, I knew all the modes of the melodic minor, but I didn't know any melodic minor licks. So every time I played melodic minor, it just sounded like I was playing scales, not music. So I recommend just learning enough theory to understand the basic context of the vocabulary you're using. The fourth I, integrate. So this is really just combining your new vocabulary with old vocabulary. So an exercise here is to take the new lick that you learned and move it around to different keys in different areas on the fretboard. And then take the new lick and combine it with previously learned licks. The fifth I, improvise. So this is where you start making up your own rhythms, melodies, chords. This is essentially where you're practicing speaking through your instrument. The only way you can become fluent in a language is through speaking, so don't be afraid to make mistakes here. Now take a look at your own practice routine and ask yourself, are you incorporating the 5 I's? If not, you might be learning to improvise music the hard way. I'm passionate about learning music in an efficient way, so if you want me to dive deeper into any of these topics in future videos, please let me know in the comments below. I will be releasing videos on a weekly basis, so if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel to catch the next one. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Dum dum da dum 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 da dum 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 da dum.